Chapter 4. The Binding Thread. The early morning dew gathers, giving the dirt and mud an extra slickness. There is a sweet smell in the air, and a cold wind that whispers among the trees. Elpis can hear the dancing leaves talk in response. Dawn is coming soon, Elpis thinks to himself. The fresh smell of morning was one of the few ways he kept track of time before, so he is distinctly aware. He shivers and folds his arms for warmth. The weather is turning colder. He can see his breath in front of him. His nose begins to drip. He lets out a subtle sniffle, breaking the long silence the two have been traveling in. Primum, I am cold. Do you have anything? Primum looks toward Elpis, walking beside him, and says, I wish I did. I know it's cold. Will you be able to hold out till morning? Elpis looks up and shrugs. If I must, says Elpis. Primum sighs. I suppose so. It's unfortunate that you were left in rags. We will exit the forest soon. I believe there is someone who may be able to help us. Maybe. Elpis smiles. There are actually friendly people here. I thought everyone was just going to try and kill or capture us. Thank the gods. Maybe they will have an actual fire. Primum shakes his head. I never said that she would help. Only maybe. She may try to kill us. Or worse, 50-50 odds. Elpis rolls his eyes. Of course I should have known. Primum laughs. Welcome to the world, my boy. Nothing ever is easy. I think it would be best if you let me carry you from here. The forest will soon turn rocky as we move uphill. You're tough, but you should not give yourself further injury. Elpis nods. Primum lifts him, braces him into the harness, and starts forward. The forest grows steep, and a dim light begins to shine at the base of the trees. Morning has come. The cold metal of Primum's armor nips through Elpis's rags. If Elpis gets too close with his exposed arms, the sun's warmth does not cut through the oppressive morning cold. The unsteady wind turns furious, chilling him to the core. He huddles and tries to gather as much warmth as he can. More trials, he thinks, as the wind's whispers become louder, piercing his frigid skin. Despite the sharp incline, Primum treads softly. Every step is intentional, careful not to leave a trace. Elpis studies him, and his mind drifts to questions. It becomes silent, the wind quieting. Only the sound of Primum's controlled breaths, now slowly carrying in the woods. Elpis speaks quietly while huddled, trying to distract himself from the cold. What brought you here, Primum? Primum takes a brief pause, then continues to walk. He doesn't respond immediately. The silence returns for a few moments, as Elpis patiently waits for a response. I was looking for someone, an old friend of mine. Elpis raises his head from his hurdled position with curiosity. He waits for a few seconds to see if Primum would say more, but he simply continued. Walking in an awkward silence. Elpis cannot contain his curiosity and speaks again. Did you find him? Primum curtly responds. No. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. Primum does not respond. He just continues to walk in silence. Primum speaks now with a much brighter tone. We are almost there. Something to keep in mind, this woman is a character. But be respectful. She is incredibly powerful. Don't give her any reason to think we mean harm. Do you know her? Elpis responds. I met her briefly years ago. I don't think she likes me much, Primum says, with a whimsical smile. The deep forest gives way to open sky and sunlight. The ground becomes rockier. The trees grow sparse. Elpis notices fetishes made from massive bird skulls, tied to posts carved with runes. He has a feeling the mysterious woman put them up. Another gust of wind suddenly blows as the fetishes sway. "What are those fetishes for?" Elpis asks. "They are supposed to ward off evil spirits," Primum responds. "Do they work?" says Elpis. "If you are a talented oromancer," Primum says. As the steep mountain begins to level, they see smoke rising from a chimney. Primum quickens his pace, ascending the last hill. Elpis gazes over the ridge to vast mountain tops, forest and mist. The slope drops to a small leveled edge overlooking the range, and on that edge sits a small thatched hut. Primum stands atop the hill and removes Elpis from his harness. "We are here," he says. Elpis lies on the ground for a moment to stretch his leg. A harsh, cold wind blows mid-stretch, and he lets out a yelp. "It's so cold, I hope she lets us inside, so we can enjoy the fire," says Elpis. "Depends on her mood," Primum responds. Elpis stands up. "Well, either we get to sit down by a fire, or run for our lives. Either way, I'll warm up. Let's go, Primum." Primum laughs. "Well said, boy." Primum and Elpis sees an elderly woman hunched back opening her door. She had a massive walking stick adorned with bird skulls and covered in runes similar to the fetishes littered through the hills. Elpis could catch an inviting smell from behind the woman. "Is that her?" Elpis asks. "That's her. Remember, respectful," says Primum. "Well, are you two going to stand there all day gawking?" "Come down here," the elderly woman shouts. Elpis and Primum walk down the hill and approach the mysterious old woman. Her hair is tied into two messy buns, deeply grey, with a drooping face and milky white eyes. She has a sharp, protruding nose. She is garbed in an adorned robe, but it is filled with tatters and patches, no doubt decades old. "Hello, I am Elpis, and this is my friend, Prue." Primum quickly interrupts. "Hey, Granny, how are you?" Elpis turns to Primum in shock, hearing that comment. Suddenly and swiftly, the woman raises her walking stick and strikes Primum atop his head. A loud, hollow thud echoes among the hills. "Ow," Primum says while rubbing his head. "I know who this lout is, boy. He can't help himself from causing trouble. Now he brings you here, no doubt, because he has already caused problems," says the elderly woman. Elpis, too panicked to laugh at Primum, attempts to salvage the introduction. "No, it's my fault. He is simply helping me. We are just lost." The old woman approaches Elpis and leans in close, grabbing his face. "Let me get a good look at you, boy," says the woman. As she grips his cheeks rather forcefully, she speaks again. "So he is helping you, So you're the trouble he picked up," the woman says as she then plucks a long strand of silver hair from Elpis. "Ow," Elpis says as he rubs the spot on his forehead where the woman plucked. The elderly woman pulls away and examines the hair. "I see, what an ordeal," the woman mumbles to herself. "Come inside, you two, this cold is chilling my bones," says the woman. The woman turns and walks into her home. Elpis glances at Primum and finds him looking down at Elpis with his tongue exposed and a massive smile. Primum was messing with me, Elpis thinks. "Looks like she's in a good mood today," says Primum as he walks toward the house. Elpis shakes his head and follows. Inside, a massive tapestry drapes across the walls. Some panels are meticulously ornate, almost picturesque scenes of heroic deeds. Others are jumbled threads with no discernible images. A fire crackles with a kettle steaming a strong herbal smell, a table centered in the hut. It is a simple home, aside from the tapestries. The woman sits at the table. "Come sit," says the woman. Elpis chooses the chair nearest the fire, directly beside her. The warmth loosens his frigid skin. His nose begins to dry, and he accidentally lets out a contented sigh as the warmth envelopes him. "Are you comfortable, my dear?" the woman says. Elpis sits straight. "Forgive me, my lady. I did not intend to disrespect you." The woman laughs. "Oh, my lady, it's been ages since I have been called that. What a sweet boy you are," the woman says, as she reaches over and rather forcefully pinches Elpis's cheek. "It's a compliment to a host when you are comfortable. Would you like some tea, young man?" The woman removes her hand from Elpis and begins to move towards the kettle, and uses her walking stick to remove it from the fire, and gently places it on the table. "Yes, my lady, I would love some," says Elpis. "Are you going to stand there all day?" "Primum, I said sit," says the woman, as she sits back down and begins to pour some tea. "I prefer to stand right now, Granny," says Primum with a smirk. Honestly, he cannot help himself from annoying whoever he comes into contact with. "I'm surprised you can put up with him," says the woman to Elpis. "It's just some harmless banter, Granny. If you were annoyed by me, you wouldn't have prepared all this for us. Admit it, you were excited to see me," says Primum. "I prepared this for myself, you entitled brat. I dread the day you darken my doorstep. Nothing but problems with you," says the woman. Primum takes a seat while sticking his tongue out at the woman in a mocking gesture. As he sits, the elderly woman grabs her stick again and gives him another wallop in the same spot. Another hollow echo rings in the room, mocking a blind woman. "Tusk tusk, Primum." "What kind of example are you setting for this fine young man?" the woman says with a smile. "A word of advice, dear. Anything he does is wrong. Don't follow his example," the woman mockingly whispers to Elpis. "Blind? Then how did you hit the same spot?" Primum says, annoyed. Elpis and the elderly woman laugh. "Elpis, eh?" "I like your name, young man," says the woman gingerly. "Thanks. Primum gave it to me," Elpis responds as he begins to sip the tea. "Ah, so the moron can do something right," she says as she laughs. As Elpis sips, he winces at the bitterness. He tries to hide it, but instinct makes him rub his tongue against his teeth. "A bit bitter for you," the woman laughs. "Drink up, it will warm you up. It's good for you too." Primum interrupts. "Careful, Elpis, I wouldn't drink a witch's brew." "Oh, hush, you imprudent baboon. It is calendula and tea tree. Nothing harmful." The woman takes a sip. "It may be a tad bitter." She then giggles to herself. "So what brings you boys here?" "Besides to disturb an old woman's peace," says the woman. "I came here just to disturb your peace," Primum says with a grin. "You do enough of that by simply existing," the woman quips back. "So Elpis, why have you come?" the woman says in a rather serious tone. Her sudden shift in demeanor throws Elpis off. He looks to Primum, still grinning. "Go on, Elpis, why have we come?" says Primum. "Shh, let the boy speak when he is ready," says the woman. "I need to get as far away from this continent as possible," says Elpis, looking down at his tea. "We are being—" Yes, I know all about your pursuers. Nasty bunch. Primum, too, knows of them." Elpis looks up, shocked. "Granny, you weren't supposed to tell him," says Primum. "Hush, I do not dabble in games of deception. I speak truth, and truth alone. If you are to leave these lands, then the first step is to speak the truth of the situation. Both of you," says the woman. "How long have you known?" Elpis asks Primum. "Since the moment I laid eyes on you," Primum says. And you still helped me, says Elpis. Of course it's what I do. I hunt the cult of Erebus all over Terris, says Primum casually. So if the cult is trying to catch one kid, well, he must be damn important to them, Primum says, while looking up at the roof, trying to avoid eye contact. Would you have saved me if it wasn't the cult? Elpis asks. Without a second thought, I'm a hero after all, Primum says. The elderly woman lets out a mocking laugh. A hero? Your comrades were heroes. You simply were an idiot along for the ride. You know that's not true, Granny. Primum looks at her now, with a faint glint of anger. There is a sudden shift to a somber tone. It is true. That's why you are all that remains. The woman speaks softly. Granny, please just answer the boy's question, Primum says. Bah, you never listen, Primum, much too stubborn to take my advice. The boy should know, the woman says, lecturing. I'll tell him when he is ready, Primum says. Nobody is ever ready, Primum, you know this, says the woman. Granny, Primum says as he jolts from the table. The elderly woman clasps her stick and sighs. Very well, Elpis, I will need another hair, she says, as she reaches over to Elpis and plucks another strand. She grabs one rather forcefully, but Elpis is still trying to gather his thoughts after hearing their conversation. He hardly notices the pain. The elderly woman rises from the table and approaches Primum. I got it, Granny, here. He plucks a hair and attempts to hand it to her. The woman slaps his hand, then grabs his scalp and shakes his head. Ow. Ow, Primum says. She plucks a long white hair. Primum rubs his scalp. Why the same spot? Quit whining, you ninny, the woman says as she shuffles to one of the tapestries on the wall. She draws a needle from her robe and ties the two hairs together, threading them through the needle. A low chant begins. Eres tu vu mocath sepum voskal. Elpis's confusion turns to curiosity. He whispers to Primum. What is she doing? She has a talent where she can see future events. She is one of the few people able to read the threads of destiny, Primum says. Shh, the woman snaps sharply. She chants again and threads the needle into the tapestry. When she speaks, her voice is no longer old, but sonorous and commanding, almost divine. Her voice hums within the very foundations of the hut. You will travel 5 nights to the east. On the dawn of the 6th day, you will find a village nestled in mist. There, you will find the Prince of Golden Flame, the woman says. The Prince of Golden Flame? Elpis asks. It's not a good idea to seek more clarification from prophecy, Primum quickly interjects. The woman stands motionless for a moment, then exhales, as if waking from a trance. That's 2 correct things you have said, Primum, she says, turning back to them. She sits, hands folded. In my youth, my sisters and I were devout priestesses of the goddess. Oh, Granny, the kid doesn't want to hear your old stories, Primum says. Shh, Elpis says, to Primum. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I knew you were such a marvelous boy. Thank you for shutting up that buffoon, says the woman. We wanted to be closer to the goddess. We believed we could understand her through the tapestry. The tapestry? Elpis asks. Our benevolent goddess does not just steward the souls of the dead. She guides the hand of fate through the tapestry. It changes constantly with every deed, small or great. But she continues to weave toward a grand purpose. So what's the grand purpose? Elpis asks. He, we were never able to learn it. The goddess in her kindness granted us sight of the tapestry, but it came with a cost. She points to her eyes. "The goddess took your vision?" Elpis exclaims. "Never. The goddess did not. I did," says the woman. "Why?" "In our arrogance, we believed we could aid the goddess by seeing her design. We never asked why mortals were never granted such vision. Once we saw it, we understood our mistake. 1,000 shifting futures in every heartbeat. Too much for the mind. It nearly shattered us." "Couldn't the goddess take it away?" Elpis asks. "Ha! Beg the goddess for sight, then beg again to lose it. No, child. The gift was granted. The price was ours to bear. And between us," she leans in, voice low, "it was punishment. Mortals should not pry in divine matters." "I see. That sounds awful." "I'm sorry, my lady." "Oh, hush, child. I don't need sympathy. And call me Thea. But here I am almost 3,000 years later, providing prophecy for the boneheaded," says Thea. "You are 3,000 years old?" Elpis exclaims. Thea nods. "Aye, the goddess has use for us." "Speaking of which, where are your sisters?" Primum asks. "Dead, I hope. Those crotchety crones never stopped nagging. We must look deeper." "I've looked deep enough for centuries." Thea snorts. Elpis giggles and jumps from his seat, excited. "You must have met so many amazing people. Have you ever met a messenger?" "I have met both. The first I never liked. Him and that gauche empire he built, pretentious upstart. The second one, though, reminds me of you. A sweetness in him," says Thea. "Wow, that's amazing," Elpis says, stepping closer. Thea reaches out and ruffles his hair. "I wish it were amazing." The tapestry rarely shows joy. I have met many men who only found ruin in their destinies. This gift is mostly tragedy. "Is that why you are out here?" Elpis asks. Thea sighs. "Yes. And yet this buffoon still finds me and begs for readings. At least he was more careful with his wording this time." "I didn't say anything, Granny," says Primum. "Oh, but you planted the words in the boy," Thea replies. Elpis looks confused. Primum just grins. "What if I said the wrong thing?" Elpis asks. "Who is to say you haven't?" Thea answers. "You think knowing what could be is an advantage. But the reason I told you my past, young Elpis, is this. Knowledge is more often a curse. Even simple directions may lead you to doom." Elpis scratches his head. "I don't get it." Thea and Primum laugh. "Ha ha. I don't expect you to, boy. One day you will." The inviting, warm smell earlier suddenly becomes a heavenly aroma as it fills the hut. Elpis's stomach growls loudly. "Are you hungry, dear?" Thea asks. "I am starving," Elpis says eagerly. "Here, I caught a rabbit this morning. I've been making stew. There is plenty for you." Thea smiles warmly as she heads to the fire. "Thanks, Granny," Primum says expectantly. "I never said you could have some." "Starve for all I care," Thea snaps, carrying the pot to the table. She pours 2 bowls and hands one to Elpis. He stares at the food, astonished. My first decent meal in days, he thinks. "Here, dearie," Thea says, passing him a spoon. Elpis devours the stew, shoveling it into his mouth with desperate ferocity. The meat melts in his mouth. "This is the best meal I have ever had," he mutters to himself. "Oh my, there's plenty more," Thea says, slowly taking her first bite. Primum stares at Elpis, pouting. Elpis doesn't notice until he asks for seconds. "Can I have another?" says Elpis. "Of course, dear," says Thea. "Would you like some of mine?" Elpis asks Primum. Thea snatches the bowl. He can wait. Women and children first, she says. She hands the bowl back to Elpis, who inhales the stew again. After finishing, he sinks into his chair, exhaustion replacing hunger. Last night's adrenaline fades. His eyes droop. How could you even ask for food when you have this poor boy walking in the cold barefoot and in rags? Thea scolds Primum. What am I supposed to do? I'm not a tailor. That's how he came, Primum replies defensive. Thea pours him a bowl anyway. Excuses with you, always excuses. Stay for the day. Let the boy sleep. I'll make him something proper for travel. But Elpis begins. Do not worry, child. They would not dare step on my mountain. Her voice softens like a blanket over coals. Primum, carry the boy to the bed. He is barely awake, Thea shouts. Primum lifts Elpis, who is drifting into sleep. Elpis sees them both, Thea and Primum, and feels a security he's never known. Thea shuffles after them, placing a leather pelt over him. She presses her thumb to his forehead. Sleep, she whispers. Warmth rises from his feet to his skull. His eyes fall shut. Elpis hears the crackle of the fire. The blanket's weight is comforting. He wakes delirious, unable to open his eyes at first. Voices murmur in the room. Thea and Primum speak in low tones. Thea sews something in her hands. The air feels heavier, somber. It wouldn't have made any difference, Thea says. What? Primum asks quietly. Don't play coy. I know why you came. Even if you killed him, the tapestry remains the same, Thea says, annoyed. Primum sighs. That's somewhat of a relief. Primum turns and notices Elpis is awake. He is awake, Primum says. Oh, a talented young oromancer you have on your hands, Thea says, turning. Rest more, dear. You have a long journey ahead, she says, flicking her finger. His eyelids sink again. Sleep returns. Elpis feels shaking. Wake up. It's time to go. He opens his eyes slowly. Primum stands over him. Elpis stretches and feels renewed. He looks around the room. Come on, boy. We gotta get out of here, Primum says. He tosses Elpis a layered tunic and fur-lined boots. Put these on, Primum says hurriedly. Elpis studies the clothes, perfectly tailored, weighted, warm. He feels sudden sentimentality, his first true gift in the world. I bet I will have so much in the world when I leave this place, but I don't think any of it will mean as much as these clothes, Elpis says. Primum pauses, watching him. Thank you, Thea. I will treasure these, Elpis says. Think nothing of it. But you two must leave now. Put them on. Go, go, Thea insists, ushering with her hands. Elpis slips into the tunic and boots. They fit perfectly. He stands, and they walk toward the doorway. Thea opens the door and stops Elpis with a firm hand. You must be brave, boy. I know you can make this journey. There is greatness in you, but greatness demands strength and courage. Stay close to him. She nods to Primum. She turns to Primum, already outside. And you take good care of him. I'm fond of this boy, and there are too few in this world I like. I will, Granny. I vow it before the goddess, lest her righteous spear pierce my heart, Primum says, determined. The dawn of the 6th day. No later, no sooner. Remember this, Thea says. Elpis embraces her. Thank you for everything, Thea. I hope to see you again. I have a strong feeling you just might. Now off with you, she says warmly. She gently pushes him away. Elpis runs to catch up to Primum, already heading east. He turns for one last look. Bye, Thea. Be well and be safe till next time, he shouts. Thea raises a hand and closes the door. They descend the slope toward the forest. Elpis turns again, startled. The hut is gone. It's gone, Elpis says. Guess she decided to move, Primum laughs. Ready for adventure? He asks. I'm ready for anything, Elpis says, flexing his arm. Let's go meet that flaming prince.